definitely the first time doing this. Welcome back to Theory Chat. It's a new season. It's Resident Evil 9. I've been away for a little while, but when I saw the Resident Evil trailer, I just got super excited for Resident Evil again. And as you can see, our set was destroyed by the government. After the outbreak, I guess they bombed this area. So I've been underground for a little bit, came back up. At least there's some walls here in the RPD, so I've got myself a new TV here. We're set up, we're ready to go. It's got a Windows background, but hopefully up there we'll have some cool stuff there. Yeah, so thank you guys for joining me here in the chat. Basically this week, I think we did like 4 videos, and there was thousands of comments, and 98% of them were positive, so thank you for those. Basically, where did I go? Well, when I was playing during Village, I was telling people like I quit my job and started my own business. And so I tried to get as much Village as I could in, but at some point I just had to focus on my new job because I needed to survive and have money. So I worked like super, super hard for 3 to 4 years straight at work, and I finally have some time to do this. And I was doing some other YouTube stuff with like traveling and stuff like that. That was kind of related to my work, so that's why I was able to do that. But yeah, super excited for Resident Evil 9, and I didn't even set everything up, but let's get started here. Yes, we have a PowerPoint presentation that I have been working on for hours and hours and hours. And hold on, sorry, still working out some bugs here. All right, so here we go. Theory Chat. These quotes right here are from the official Resident Evil website. And so this is what should get everybody excited. Right from the website right here. Return once again to the city of disaster and despair, which is obviously Raccoon City. This one case leads to uncovering the hidden truth behind the outbreak in Raccoon City. And then it said, will this be the Requiem that finally lays the memories of that abhorrent disaster to rest? So right on their website there, they're giving us all these quotes about how this game is going to somehow give us storyline that we've been looking for, connected to the original Resident Evil games. We've had remakes, we've had the Ethan Winters stuff, which is kind of new, and had little connections back. This one looks like it's going to be like a full connection back to the good old Raccoon City days, and so that's why like I'm super, super excited about this one. Let's start with the trailer, basically, and we see it starts with the FBI. And we have this guy, Nathan Dempsey. He is the special agent in charge of the Midwest Field Division. And if you know Resident Evil, you know they never tell us where Raccoon City is specifically, but they always categorize it as the Midwest. I wish I could put a map up here because the Midwest is like not even in the West. It's like north Middle East sort of. But the Midwest is where Raccoon City is, and this is the closest FBI field office most likely, and this is the guy in charge. So let's take a quick look.
Sir.
Grace! Grace!
Grace Ashcroft.
Yes?
My office. We found another body. One that exhibits the same pathology as the others we've been investigating. Now, I need a good technical analyst on this.
Okay.
I need your eyes on the crime scene. The Renwood Hotel. I know that's where your mother was murdered. Alyssa died 8 years ago. Perhaps it's time for you to face the past.
So you can see here that the FBI director is sending out this woman to, I guess, go investigate. Now, this is the thing that has me feeling like there's something fishy with this guy here, because what does it say in that bottom corner? Oh, that's just the play button. Why? If there's a conflict of interest here, because her mother was murdered in this hotel. She's obviously like freaking out about it in the office with her boss. And her boss is just like, listen, I know this is like the worst thing of your life, but you're going to do it anyway. And hey, just like face your past, bro. But like, what if human resources was anywhere involved in this building? There's no way that they would let her be a part of this case. There's probably thousands of agents across the country. They could bring someone else in. They probably got other agents in their office, or analysts, sorry. And they choose her for a reason, I guess, and I think it's because this guy wants her to go there for some reason. But it is Resident Evil, so any person could be a bad guy, any person could be a good guy. And from doing these theory videos ever since Resident Evil 7, this guy's probably just a regular character that like does nothing. But every time there's a game launch, we only have a certain amount of characters to go. So we go, what if this guy did something? What if this guy did something? So Nathan Dempsey, I got my eye on him. We're going to watch out, see what he does here, and see why he's sending Grace to this hotel when it's clearly triggering for her. And, oh, there we go. My slideshow is freezing. All right, so now that we got that over with, the second person we see in the trailer is Grace Ashcroft. She's an FBI intelligence analyst. And let's take a look at her scenes from the trailer.
Grace. Grace. Grace Ashcroft.
Yes?
My office.
Oh, coming. If this is about the report you asked for yesterday, it'll be ready in 3. No, 2 days, tops.
Put a hold on that for now. I need your eyes on the crime scene. The Renwood Hotel. Perhaps it's time for you to face the past. Grace.
So we see how kind of scared Grace is, and that's just in the office. RE4 is trash was saying that the FBI director could be the new Chief Irons, and we will go over some of these other comments as we go through the video, because I want to get through it and cover it, and then at the end we'll do like all the questions and comments on there. This is the exact wording from Capcom about Grace. So she's an intelligence analyst for the FBI who demonstrates intense focus and insight in deductive reasoning and analysis, and her mother's death shook her to the soul, making her an introvert who immerses herself in work. And we clearly saw that in the trailer. This is her desk right here, and it is just a train wreck. There are files everywhere. Some of them aren't even folders. They're falling off the desk. It's like all trashed. things are thumbtacked on top of other things, and basically she is she's definitely detail oriented and everything, but she's like so focused probably on this case that that she doesn't have time to like clean up or do anything like that. So and basically her job is an FBI analyst and not an agent. So I decided, let's look up the real FBI and see what an analyst does. And this was a quote from the FBI website. Even though analysts don't carry weapons or arrest individuals, there is a growing recognition that what we bring to the table is extremely valuable and that we are an integral part of the team. So a lot of people were commenting to me that that Grace was an FBI agent, so she's going to be like a hero and she's going to be like super good with guns and all sorts of things like that. But really, she's kind of like an FBI, nerd, kind of on computers, analyzing data. She's not usually out in the field. I don't think she will carry a weapon in the game specifically, but it is Resident Evil, so sometimes they don't get it exactly right. But the reason I think they do pretty good research and in these games before they come out, they get a lot of things wrong too. But the thing that I basically saw that made me think, oh, they did some good research is this is the FBI building in the game, and this is actually an FBI field office in California. So the game, California, it was clearly this fake office here, the Midwest office, was clearly designed based on this real FBI building there. Check says she fumbles some papers leaving her desk. Yeah, so first of all, she's so involved that she gets jump scared just by the guy saying her name 3 times. Then she's all out of sorts. She drops her books. She drops everything. Then she goes into the office and she's like, her head is down and she's like stuttering and she can't figure out what to say. And she just seems to be kind of like a mess at this point. And you don't blame her because there's obviously some trauma there from when her mother was murdered. And now she's been told, hey, remember your mother was murdered? How about you go to the site where she was murdered and do some investigating, even though you're probably usually at a computer. Now you're going to be out in the field. Although he did call her a field analyst, I think, in the trailer. So maybe she's out in the field more than a data analyst. And, so we'll have to see what happens to her. I think we'll get to that, my next thought here in a minute. But let's talk about Grace a little bit. So originally, I was thinking, Grace has this lighter in the screenshots we get, and she's opening this like ghost book, and it just looks like, she doesn't have a weapon or anything. She's kind of just walking around. So it kind of felt like, oh, is Grace gonna be like a weak character that doesn't do weapons and only does puzzles or something like that? Kind of like Ashley. Was that Ashley in RE4 was just like walking around and crawling and hiding. But then they came out with the next screenshot here with the character art, and you can see, and I'm a YouTuber, so YouTubers like to make arrows to things even though it's like so clear what I'm pointing to, but I'm on YouTube, so we need thumbnails with arrows and red circles and stuff. So I just threw the arrow in there, but you can see in the screenshot she actually does have a weapon. So she's not just going to be a puzzle solver or whatever. I think that was probably just for the demo or the little segment there in the beginning where she like starts to build up her confidence and she'll get more weapons and blah, blah, blah. And at the end, she'll probably, destroy everybody. And let's take a look at what happens to her when I'm guessing they sent her to the hospital, or they sent her to the hotel to investigate and then this happened. So I'm guessing this happened like on the way to I don't know, or when she got there. And notice the Resident Evil thing that happens in the beginning, the eyeball opening. It's classic Resident Evil. I think earlier in the trailer they said Ashcroft, so a lot of people knew it was Resident Evil there. But if you didn't, this is where you're like, oh, this got to be Resident Evil. All right, so Grace is clearly kidnapped here in the beginning, and we actually found out that that is the first shot of the demo. And so I think what Capcom has is they have this little playable demo where you play as Grace, and she goes through solving a puzzle to get to the exit, and when she gets to the exit, the demo's over. They showed this to a bunch of influencer YouTubers and media. They showed them like a pre-cut together, kind of like a trailer, which we've gotten for past games. So there's definitely like a 10 or 20 minute video out there that I think they're going to eventually show us that shows her walking through the demo and doing different things. A few people actually also got to play that demo as well. And then Resident Evil announced that they're going to have this demo at the end of August. So at the Gamescom. So like, there's a lot of time in between now and when we might even see that demo. I don't know if we'll even get it or if they'll just have it live there. I'd love to see that video maybe in August before they release the demo. Maybe we'll get to play the demo. I don't know. I was supposed to talk about this later, but we'll have to see about that. This is a shot, I think, from the demo where you just see like the terror that she has. And we were talking about earlier in the office, she seems to be scared and stuff like that. And the people who played the demo were talking about how she's like extra scared, even more scared than like Ethan was in Resident Evil 7. And he had not a lot of experience. So she's like very, very scared. You know, she's thinking about her mom. You know, she's thinking about the murder. She's been kidnapped. It's been crazy. And yeah, so she's going to have like a really hard time in the beginning, and again, we all think she's going to eventually turn into a hero, I'm sure. And yeah, this is what they have her looking like. Oh, I'm just I'm a nerdy person or whatever. And then she's like takes her glasses off and she looks like this. So I'm guessing at the end she'll not only look like this, but also have like 6 guns in her hand and a rocket launcher. And yeah, so a lot of Ethan Winter type vibes where Ethan in Resident Evil 7 was just like supposed to be a guy, and he actually seemed to have no personality at all. And my theory was always they wanted you to think you were Ethan, so they didn't want to give him a personality because you were playing in VR or whatever. And then was he the guy in Resident Evil 8? I mean, they put him in Resident Evil 8 or whatever. So he eventually went from nothing to being a crazy monster killer. So seems like that's what's going to happen for her as well. But we'll have to see on that. And then we got to talk about her mom, Alyssa. So let's... Oop. Sorry, I'm rusty on this. Yeah, Alyssa, she's a reporter from the Raccoon Press. She was in Raccoon City during the outbreak, and she ended up surviving it. You learn about her and her story through the Resident Evil Outbreak games, File 1 and File 2. I don't think it's called File 1, but Outbreak 1, File 2. And there's a bunch of missions in those games. I just played them, a bunch of them again, and watched all the videos and stuff. And Outbreak is a hard game. I don't know if you guys have played it in a while. I played it on Lone Wolf, so I didn't have teammates to help, but it's just you go back and forth and back and forth. It's really, really hard game and a long game. The last level took me like 3 hours to beat it, and I knew exactly what to do. So Outbreak was rough. But if you can go back, do it, or watch somebody on, I think Residents of Evil was probably playing it the other day. A bunch of people are playing Outbreak live, so go check out their videos, their live streams, because they're probably going through at least Alyssa's mission. I think she had 2 missions. She had, in the first mission, her specific mission was called Hellfire. She had to escape from the Apple Inn. And then the second game, Flashback, I think it was called. And I can't remember the plot of that. But those were her 2 main... Oh, something about a hospital and a bridge. But she had to escape that. It's just in the demo we see, or not in the demo, in the trailer we see all these flashbacks of Alyssa as Grace is either remembering her mom or I'm not sure what's going on, but we get a lot of flashbacks, and the question is, are the flashbacks like just so basically 8 years ago? Yeah, I totally went out of order. Anyway, after the outbreak and after all that stuff happened, we found Alyssa again in Resident Evil 7. There was an article she wrote, and that was like 2016 or 2017, so she was alive then. And then 8 years ago, she was murdered, so that was probably, what is 8 years? Geez, I can't do math. But 8 years ago, she was murdered. And so there's flashbacks, but are they flashbacks to just 8 years ago, or are they going to flashback to 8 years ago and maybe do flashbacks to Outbreak? So is Outbreak going to be related to this at all? Is it just taking Alyssa, the character from Outbreak, and forgetting about the rest of the lore and everything? Or is it going to somehow connect back to Outbreak? How much connection is it going to have? Are we going to see other characters from Outbreak? Are we going to see flashbacks? Or is it just a new story with a character from Outbreak? So excited to see about that. And here are just a few shots of Alyssa in the original Outbreaks. So let's see kind of what she did there.
Reporter,
and I hate that this thing keeps stopping the video.
I had been involved with bizarre cases before, but this time I had to learn the hard way that my past experiences were useless. When a horror movie becomes reality, a person's sanity can disappear instantly. I was moving on pure survival instinct. Normally, I'd be loving this kind of thing. You know, everywhere I turn there's a scoop. But none of that matters if you're not alive to tell it. Besides, mayhem has become the way of life here.
I must have said this sucks about 1,000,000 times that day. And that was close about 1,000,000 more. How much longer would my luck hold out? How many more times could I cheat death in that seemingly endless living hell?
2 things are for certain. I'm alive by some miracle, and the next hell is waiting around the corner. Even I've had enough. Just thinking about the column I have to write. I'm getting a headache.
Playing it safe may be best, but that's not what I call truly living. Fight for what you want. There's always going to be risks. You may get hurt in the end. But for me, I'd rather die having lived than live without knowing life. And taking the risks that come with life is the only way to...
So, yeah, that's Alyssa. She's like kind of... I mean, even when she was in the sewer, she's like, I would normally love being in the sewer. Being in the sewer is cool as long as I'm getting the scoop. Like, she's like not just a reporter. She's a do-anything reporter. And in my other video, I think I called her a do-anyone reporter. And I think we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But, yeah, those were kind of the scenes in Outbreak. And somebody, Check Undead, says that the monologue, what she's talking about, is very cringy. I love it. Oh my gosh, I love Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, 3, Code Veronica, Outbreak. The dialogue is my favorite, injected into my veins. I love how cheesy it is. I love and the music in Outbreak. Have you guys, I mean, it was like, I think they were influenced by Jurassic Park or something, but really like non-Resident Evil style music, but like, I don't know, epic music. It's just really good music in Outbreak. So that the music has real good emotional connection. At least the ones in some of these ending scenes and at the end of the very end of the game, the end of the very game.
You truly know it.
The new game, we learn that the mom was murdered in a hotel, and there are some flashbacks to the hotel, and I think this is the hotel right up here. It looks to be like, if that is the hotel, it's like urban hotel. It's not like, parking lot and everything. It's like in the city, maybe in Raccoon City, or not sure if it's going to be Raccoon City. What's up, Demon? Or is there a place called Renwood? Because that's the name of is that the right ending? Ren something. Renwood? Oh, God, I don't remember. But is there going to be a different town called Renwood or something that's kind of on the outskirts and then we eventually get there? Or is Raccoon City so big that not all of it blew up and this hotel is left? I don't know. Or maybe it's just in flashbacks. We'll have to find out on that. Was one of these a video? Oh, this was a video. So let's watch the video of the flashbacks before we go over it. One of the things from that video that made me think about Resident Evil 7 was it looked like she was looking back at a camera, like in the Sewer Gators video or some of the other videos. Like, it looked like she brought a cameraman with her to the hotel, and I'm wondering if Grace, her flashback is not like that she was there, obviously, because she wasn't there with her mom. The flashback is actually a videotape that Grace saw, because in the trailer, towards the end, there's like a crying voice, like, oh my God. I wish I had it on here. That's the part I forgot to add, was the voices at the end I was going to go over. But she says something like, you're my only hope, or you have to tell people. That sounded like it was Alyssa on a videotape to her daughter, telling her, like, you've got to solve the mystery or whatever. So I feel like it's kind of might be, instead of a flashback, like an actual videotape that Grace might see. Here's another shot of Alyssa, and obviously she's looking this way. Why is she looking this way if she's going that way with the flashlight? She's talking to somebody or looking back at a camera. Oh, good. 98 Demon, you're still a moderator. Perfect. Because I have no control over this chat at this point. I can barely read it. But we will be going over all the chat stuff as we get through it. Oh, also, this hotel room door, I see it as 204 sometimes, but if you change the frame, it looks like 201. Not sure what that means. The Apple Inn, which was the hotel in Resident Evil Outbreak, had a room 201 and a 204, but I kind of looked into that, and nothing seemed to connect to that. Also, unless this is also a flashback, a double flashback to Outbreak, this seems to be a different hotel than the Outbreak hotel, so I don't think the room matters either. We also get a shot of a hotel room here. I can't tell what's on the bed there. Yeah, I tried to look at this screenshot a bunch as well, but didn't find anything useful in it. And then this was a crime scene, because you can see the little yellow crime number things there. And I'm not sure, again, if this was in the flashback, but is it the flashback, or is this what she's going to find when she goes there? But you've got a crime scene, and it looks like in the hotel lobby or something in this flashback. And then you've got the cleaner images, which I'm guessing are present day, and I believe these are all from the demo, which all the people who played the demo were saying it takes place in a hospital, not a hotel. not sure if it's a hotel, but like it's being used as a research center for experiments. So they kind of like made it the hotel into a hospital, or if there's two different buildings, a hotel and a hospital. Somebody said, Vernie said it looks like the door from RE7. Definitely a lot of RE7, like just the fact that the door was like all like worn out and stuff. It's just very Resident Evil 7 vibes in this, and that's what I love, because my favorite is Resident Evil 7. That's when I started this YouTube channel, and it was so fun to lead up to that game, and I'm thinking this is going to have a similar build-up. Let's look at some. I think this was called the waiting room in the demo, and like it was like a safe area. This is another shot, which you just see a lot of hospital equipment and like those dividers and stuff there, medical stuff. Just a lot of hospital stuff. And then this was the most intriguing shot of the trailer for me, because you got a woman walking through the hospital here, and you know, it's another character, and from the back she looks like Alex Wesker, but also maybe not. But that was the vibe I got there. But it's some kind of looks like some kind of an assistant or something, maybe bringing something to the doctors, or the boss, like going into that room back there where the doctors are. And I'm guessing this part was not in the demo. And then we've got this hallway here. I can't. Anybody know what that is there? Is that like? It looks like a light. Is it? Could it be a puzzle? Could it be a sliding door with a light on it? I'm not sure what that is. In the back, there's a horse statue, and then in the trailer, we saw like the monster's gonna like pop down from the ceiling in there. Steve says maybe they rebuilt the mansion in the mountains. That would be a tough one to rebuild, I think. Although it would be really cool in this game if we went through the woods and then discovered the ruins of the mansion, because underground, under the mansion, that, you know, something could be there. I don't know that it would be this. I think this would be the hospital or the hotel, but I wouldn't put past at least. Oh my gosh, it would be so cool to see the ruins of the mansion or find something there too. And then this was the reason I thought maybe it could be a hotel. This reminds me of like an old bed and breakfast. I've been traveling a lot and staying at a lot of different hotels, and some weird hotels and some bed and breakfast type hotels. And a couple of hotels I had a key, not this crazy and like ornate or whatever, but this feels more like a hotel door with an old school key than it does like a door that would be in a hospital. But again, it's Resident Evil, so a bunch of places have doors that are weird. And I think Carlos in Resident Evil 3, didn't he make a comment like I don't know, I think it was like, what the F is this symbol on the door or whatever. I think he was mocking the fact that the doors have symbols and stuff. And this one looks like to be a cherub. Like it's probably called the cherub key and the cherub door or something like that. And yeah, as I was saying earlier, Alyssa has 2 levels in Outbreak. The first Outbreak game, her level is Hellfire, and it's at the Apple Inn, which is a hotel. And yeah, Renwood Hotel case. So the Apple Inn, and then later she's at the Renwood Hotel where she's murdered. So hotel. Then in the second game, hers is called Flashback. She's at a hospital. But what if, like, this is the hospital? Now, this hospital did burn to the ground, and the Apple Inn probably were destroyed. But what are the why are her two levels in Outbreak a hotel and a hospital, and then why are her the 2 levels we know about possibly in the new game a hotel and a hospital? I thought that was weird. But I do think at the end of this level, this hospital like crumbles to the ground. I also don't know if Outbreak, like, what's canon or not. I guess it doesn't matter because they're going to like pull things anyway from it and change things. But that's, I just thought that was interesting. And then, Taken. So Grace was taken. And as we see in this beginning here, she has something drawing blood from her. So she's been pinned down to a hospital bed, tied up or whatever, and they're taking her blood. And is that like a Leon-style bandage up there too? I don't know why she has that. She must have gotten injured when they kidnapped her. I'm not sure. And here we go again with my classic YouTuber arrow, just to show you. In case you couldn't see it there, you need that big white arrow to see it. The GM said the hospital fell over because a giant plant died. Yeah, I was kind of like glancing at the shots, not like memorizing the level yet. I'd love to go. I need to play through the whole Outbreak game again. I don't think I ever even played File 2 in my life. I definitely had Outbreak 1 and played that a billion times when I was younger. But I need to go through the full levels. I've only played like 2 levels recently. And also, you have to do each character in each level. It's so, oh my gosh, there's so much gameplay to do these games. Anyway, so why is she hooked up to the thing? Welcome, Marcos, new member. Thank you for joining. We got Mr. Snakeskin. He could have been the one who captured her. And if we lightened this image up a lot, and then you can see it looks like he's got a jacket on that's made out of snake skin. It's not a live snake, I think. And it looks like at the top there, up there, oh, my finger left, that it might be a hood. I think it's a hooded jacket made of snakeskin. And then they have another shot of it out here. You can see it's just, another Resident Evil creep sitting in the corner and listening to a phonograph or something. And then the other character we see, which could be this guy, so I kind of separated them, but we got Hoodie McHooderson. I don't know. It doesn't look like the same jacket. And this guy's face is all messed up. I mean, in the other one, his face isn't even facing us. But this guy looks like more put together. His hair is like, it's frizzy, but it seems like more put together than this guy who just seems like, what is this, Bruce Willis and Unbreakable or something? This guy looks rougher, but I don't know. It could be the same guy. Not sure. And here's just another close-up so you can see this guy is freaking, ugh. He's got the herp or whatever. I don't know what he's got, but he's got something and it ain't good. And he's probably doing this to this girl because it's going to help cure him or something like that. So we'll have to see what happens with this guy and if it's the same guy. What do you got? Let's actually go to the chat here in the middle of this show. Thank you guys for joining me here on Theory Chat, the new season. You guys think the hooded guy is the same as the snakeskin guy? Or do you think that there's 2 different entities? And then I guess the other question is, are those even the real bad guys or bosses? Or are they like lower level ones and there's some big corporation? I mean, it is Resident Evil. Somebody's pulling the strings, I'm sure. Henry says it's a tyrant. Oh my gosh, what if a tyrant could be a person? That would be crazy. And then it could like go into person mode or something and then go back to tyrant mode. That would be crazy. 98 Demon says, I don't think it's Leon. Oh yeah, so everybody's been going on Twitter and posting, like cutting this in half and like putting a half of a Leon face next to it and making the mouth line up and going, it's Leon. And then I saw it with like, oh, it's also Chris. And then people were doing jokes like, oh, it's Jill. You can put a million faces next to this guy and make them all match up. Dante says, hopefully Hooded Guy is not a returning character. He wants more new characters. MD says, looks like Wesker is alive. You think that's Wesker? I mean, it could be Lava Burns, I guess. I'm not feeling the Wesker direct return. I'm feeling Wesker connections, but there's no wrong theories at this point. Although, unless they're mine, then they're all probably wrong. But Fernie says it can't be Jake. I don't know, man. That's my number one. If it was a return, I think it's not a returning character. But if it was a returning character, I think it would be Jake. And I think we have some slides on that later. 98 Demon says Umbrella is back again. Steve says it's Hideo Kojima. Jesse says it's burn cream all over his mouth. I mean, Wesker fell into the lava. Although I don't think, chapstick and some, balm. Who told you to put a balm? Is going to fix the lava rocket launcher explosion. So we know she's been taken. We saw these guys who possibly could have been the people. They're probably the guy who took her. Or actually, wait a minute. Hold on. Hoodie guy is in the flashback. Maybe Hoodie guy is the one who got Alyssa. And then this guy seems to be not in the flashback. Maybe he's the present-day person who's getting Grace. Or it's the same person, and back in the day he was more hooded up, and now that he put his cream on, he's more cleared out and he doesn't wear his hood as much. I don't know. But, yeah, why was Grace chosen? That's, I guess, the big question, and here's kind of what happened.
Miss Ashcroft, I know now that you're the one that I've been searching for. A special one. The chosen one.
And I'm going to work on this, the fluidity of this thing, because every time I click something pauses, and it's driving me crazy. And I don't have any of my old stuff. I have these buttons that I usually press to change cameras, and they're not here. And I usually have other. Oh my gosh, everything's going crazy. But yeah. So that's what we hear. She's the chosen one. She's the whatever one. And you see, she has been kidnapped. And this, I think, this thing down here at the bottom is a that's where her blood's going. I think it's. I can't tell. It looks red, but I think that's where the blood is. And in the demo, they said she cuts herself loose, maybe even using that bottle thing next to her, and shatters, and her blood goes everywhere or something like that. So let's go back to Alyssa. So if Grace is the chosen one, perhaps her mother had something that passed on to her daughter, making her the chosen one. Obviously, Alyssa was targeted for some reason. Maybe she was also a chosen one because of her biology or genetics or whatever. But now she's dead, so now maybe she even dead it herself so that they wouldn't be able to use her blood or something. I don't know. But now Grace is the chosen one. So what if how would Alyssa be good at passing on good genetics? Well, I'll tell you why. Because in Resident Evil Outbreak, Alyssa got the T-virus. She didn't get bit by a zombie, but there were rats and something maybe in the water system, something to do with Hunk in the sewer, and somehow it got in the water. And so all the characters in Outbreak got the virus. And then at the end of the game, spoiler alert, you put 3 things together in this machine, and you make this serum called Daylight. And then when Alyssa drinks the Daylight, she's cured of the T-virus. I didn't know there was a cure. I don't know why we aren't getting this cure out and why she had to spend 3.5 hours, or why I had to spend 3.5 hours collecting it. But there is a cure, I guess, for the T-virus, and it's called Daylight, and it's in the Outbreak thing. And we don't know what it did to her genetics. So perhaps because she took the Daylight and she had the T-virus before, it's dormant inside of her. Maybe someone's trying to remake the original Resident Evil, I don't know, virus and science. And so the Grace has the T-virus dormant in her system or something like that. But there's some kind of possible connection with this Daylight if Grace's mom is the reason that she's the chosen one. And at the end of Outbreak, again, spoiler, like every Resident Evil game ever except for 2, Alyssa escapes on a helicopter and she survives. And like we were saying before, she shows up again in Resident Evil 7. Her name does, because she wrote an article. Now, if Alyssa is not special and the Daylight is not involved and they're not connecting the game to Outbreak at all, by the way, if they Daylight is involved in this, there's more connections to Outbreak for sure. But I'm not necessarily buying that. And here's something that most people are not buying because I did a whole video on it. But this guy, what if this guy is Grace's father? Hear me out. Alyssa escapes Raccoon City during the outbreak. So does Wesker, I guess, somehow, even though we shot him or whatever. Alyssa is obsessed with getting the story, especially after she went through that whole ordeal. Like, her whole life, even she had a kid and she was still chasing the story in Resident Evil 7. She's obsessed with it. So what if Alyssa did what she had to do to get information from Wesker? If you play Outbreak and you get the hidden costumes, her hidden costumes are like a night... I know this has nothing to really has nothing to do with the game. It's more like horny designers or whatever, but her hidden costumes were a nightgown and like some like sports bra thing. So, but what if she tried to get the story and she somehow connected with Wesker, and Wesker is known for hitting it and disappearing. That's how this guy was made. So I don't think it's true, but there's a little connection in my head that what if Wesker is somehow the father? Now, Wesker, I think, is still dead, but and I don't think he's coming back, but he could come back in a non-real way by being genetically connected. And if this is a Resident Evil game that's going to tie the whole Raccoon story together, Wesker, I mean, he's got to be mentioned somewhere. He's got to be involved somewhere. Henry said Alyssa would do anything. Seek said Jake's the father. No, Jake's not the father, because if Wesker's the father, Jake is the brother. And Jake and Grace are not that far apart, I think. Actually, can't remember the exact ages, but I think Jake's closer in age to Grace for some reason. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, so Jake, I guess, because he's a Wesker child, and he didn't know Wesker was his dad. So Jake grew up. He just knew he had a dad, or he didn't know who his dad was. Turns out it was Wesker, but he has something in his blood or genes that is different than everyone else. He's basically a chosen one. So when you see him injecting himself with this, I don't even remember what that was in the game, and then you see her, I think they could be brother and sister. They could both be chosen ones. Jake could be the guy in the hood. The connections are all beautiful minding here in my head about all of that stuff. Steve says Jake is 40. Okay, if Jake's 40 and Grace is probably... I was guessing Grace was like 26. Probably Jake can't be the father. No, it's Wesker. And the most likely scenario for that's going to happen is they're not going to mention a father, and the father's not going to be connected to the story at all, and nobody's going to care. But for now, they basically have only shown us a trailer. They showed other people a demo that they could talk about, but I don't think they all paid super close attention to everything. Like, I'd be in there like looking at every little thing, but yeah, so there's not a lot of information out there, so we just got to have some fun with it, make some fun theories up, and see if things can be connected. And so in Resident Evil 7, I think I did like 40 videos, maybe 70, I don't know, a million videos. I think one or two theories came to be actually real. So it's like throwing it at the dartboard or whatever and finally hitting once. But when it did hit, it was so cool. So I love coming up with a million theories. If you come up with a million theories, maybe one of them will hit. So, and then a lot of the theories are based on, I do a video, and then you guys comment on the video with your theories, and then those theories end up adding to the theories, and then the whole community does a big theory. I don't know how to explain it. The other character I want to talk about is Oswell Spencer. Also dead. this guy wanted to like get younger and like make superhumans or something like that. And also, so this is Spencer right here. Let's go back and look at this the snake guy. Not exactly the same. Can't be Spencer, but could he be related to Spencer? We didn't talk about that back then. But the hair, I don't know, the feel, the vibe, the fact that he's kidnapping chosen ones could very well be related to Spencer. It's not Spencer himself. There's no way. Spencer's dead. There's no way he could have came to life and then got younger. But and then here's something I just made. So
Stop it! Don't open that door!
And I don't know if anybody knows what this is, but it's because we're going to talk about the Wesker children. And they weren't born like that weird baby Wesker that I made. These are the Wesker children. Alex and Albert Wesker. Basically, the Wesker children were a bunch of kids that were kidnapped by Oswald Spencer because they were chosen ones, basically. So he kidnapped them all and then like experimented on them or something and gave them viruses, and then basically they all died except for these two. So these two were like the real chosen ones. And so maybe there's a connection somehow to the Wesker children or the Wesker research, and the person that's most involved in that is Scarlett Johansson. I mean, Alex Wesker. And Alex Wesker is not alive, but she does. Now, this is what I hate. I don't like that this got into the Resident Evil series at all, but she basically transferred her consciousness from herself to a young girl named Natalia, sorry. And kind of like lived on through the kid. So I don't know what this is supposed to be, if it's supposed to be the original or Natalia, but Alex Wesker basically just became a kid again, and so could be not that old currently. And she is like a Spencer disciple, and she like loves Spencer, and she loves like all the research and stuff. So if anybody in the whole world of Resident Evil was going to continue Spencer's research, I don't think Wesker liked him, and Wesker ended up killing him. I think it would be her somehow, because she was the one who actually was on the same page. Seek said the head of the Wesker project was a guy named Wesker. I thought I guess that's why they gave everyone the last name Wesker, because that's not their real names. They're not, and they're also not from the same parent. So it's, when I heard Wesker children, I thought, oh, they're all brothers and sisters or whatever. But I guess they're different. They're just given that name Wesker so that the scientists knew that they were the children or something. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. Alex Wesker, I think that's one of the cooler theories, and I'll probably end up doing a deeper dive into that again. I'm pretty sure I did it for Resident Evil 7 or 8 as well. Because, oh yeah, I think we were like, oh, maybe Alex Wesker is Lady Demetrescu or whatever. Stevie says Finkel is Einhorn, Einhorn is Finkel. Burton says maybe George Trevor is still alive. I don't, my memory cannot remember how old he would have been, but I feel like he's 100. All right, so let's talk about the demo real quick. The demo, by the way, how long has this been going on? Anybody have a timer on this one? By the way, thank you all for joining. 100 people. That's cool. Yeah, so the demo at Gamescom. So that's August 20th to 24th, and Capcom tweeted this out, and they said you're going to be able to play this demo at I don't even know where that. Shouldn't I know where Cologne is? But wherever this is, they're going to have the demo. And, jeez, there's been 4 or 5 games. They're all mixing together in my head. But at some point, they would give us a video of the demo, and then they would let us play the demo. They'd let us download the demo. In Resident Evil 8, the demo had a timer on it. So you could, and I think you could only play it once or in the time as many times as you could do it. And then Resident Evil 2, was it called the 90-second or 1 minute? Had like, I think that was the other one where you could only play a little bit. Resident Evil 3, you could play like a lot. And Resident Evil 7 demo came out the day it was announced. And yeah, I wish they would have done that here. They should have announced it and had that Grace demo right away. That would have been so awesome. Oh yeah, Cologne, Germany. I've been to Germany. So I don't know. Do I have to fly to Germany just to play this game or are they gonna like let us play it at some point? And August 20th. What's today? June, less than 20. So we got 2 months, I think, before I don't think they're gonna show us anything in between this and now. So like this is the theory chat video because I don't know that there's gonna be another theory chat in between this event. Because I don't know if they're going to give us any more information at all. And we don't know if we're going to be able to play the demo. We just know it's going to be live at the event, so they'll have TV set up for people to play there. Seek said 53 minutes. All right, not bad, not bad. And, yeah, so talking about the demo, these are the 3 people that that saw the demo and that I follow. I guess I don't follow Max. But these are the 3 that were... Everything I'm telling you now has come from these 3 people's reactions. It basically, Capcom took all these media and influencer people, they put them in the theater, they showed them a pre-cut together demo gameplay. So it's missing some scenes, you know? It's not like straight through, like live. It's like it's been edited and cut. So they all were able to talk about it, but they don't have pictures or videos or anything like that. So all they could do was talk about it. Max actually got to play the demo himself. So after they watched it and everything, he was pulled into a room and they let him play it because he's got like 2 million subscribers or something like that. So they actually let him play the demo. So by the way, go watch all 3. I think you can see Alex on Residents of Evil channel. Max has his own video. Susie has video. And Max is the one who got to play it. So go watch Max's video to find out like all the details. But basically what they were saying was Grace is like super scared during the demo. I think Alex said that the inventory screen is like Resident Evil 2 and 3. I don't remember off the top of my head what that was, but he said that was like the only info that anyone said that was like, oh, that's something interesting. Yeah, and what else did they say? Well, we'll talk about a couple things they said as we on a later slide. Whoops. And yeah, they said the demo starts with the screenshots that we saw and the trailer shots, and she's trapped and she gets out, and now she has to run away and like try to get out, but there's puzzles, and guess what? She has to find a fuse. Obviously, Resident Evil 7 had a fuse in the demo, and that was like a huge thing, and then I think Resident Evil 2 probably you had to put the fuse in to open the thing. The fuse is just huge in demos. Very huge in demos. And so she escapes or whatever, and she's going through it. And basically they were saying it's a lot of Resident Evil 7 vibes, a lot of horror vibes. Well, why is that? It's because of this guy. He's the director of Resident Evil 7, and now he's the director of Resident Evil 9. So you're going to get some kind of connections to it. Apparently the graphics, the engine, everything is like 1,000 times better than Resident Evil 7 because of time has passed and everything, and they've improved on it. So everyone's saying it just looks amazing. People are saying it might be one of the best looking Capcom games ever. And obviously, as you go more and more, Resident Evil 3 Remake was so good looking compared to 2, which was also good, but 3 was like boom. And so this might be like a Resident Evil 7 type game, but like amped up and better graphics and stuff like that. So we've got this guy, and in the screenshots we see the Resident Evil 7. Like this whole demo is like Resident Evil 7 vibes. A lighter, no weapon, walking around, scared, finding little puzzles and things like that. And then the big thing that was revealed at the end of their demo was that they are going to have third person and first person. So you're going to actually be able to pick in the game whether you want to play it in third person or first person. And here's the most important thing about this that nobody's talking about. Nobody's talking about it. This is Resident Evil Village, which was first person, right? And then they had a DLC and they made it third person. And then, but I think they just take the DLC and change nothing except just make it third person. In Resident Evil 9, Max said that when you pick your camera, it said first person, third person, but under first person it said recommended, as if there's going to be a camera view recommended for different situations. The demo is horror, so it recommended first person. Maybe there's action sequence, it's going to recommend third person. And what I think that means is they didn't just make a single game and then just add a second camera angle. I think they designed certain levels for a camera. So the demo level, I think they designed it for first person. Forget whatever third person does. It'll let you do that, but forget that. Let's just design it for first person. And I don't know how they design games, but just only have that camera angle so that everything is seen in that. And then for the third person one, don't design it for first person, design it for third person. And then that way it's not like a janky camera, just addition. I can't remember what other game. There was another older game where you could switch it to third person and it was just awful. But I think in this one it's going to be a really good first person and third person. Both of them are going to be solid. Yeah, I don't know if you guys off the top of your heads know other games that were first and third, or remember third person being bad because it was added. Because my brain is combining every game together at this current moment. So I'll wait for that because there's a 10-second delay here. 60 FPS says I will play the whole game in third person. I don't like first person. I'm gonna. I don't know. I'll have to see. I'm gonna try to follow the camera recommendations, and I hope that wasn't just the demo. It could have just been the demo recommending that, and the rest of the game it's not gonna say recommends. But I'm not sure about that. Steve says as long as third person is more like RE4 remake and not RE8. RE third person didn't play well. Yeah, I think that's what I was talking about with this. I think they just added the guy on the bottom of the corner. They didn't I don't know. They didn't plan for it to happen. They just added it or something. Stevie also said the Evil Within added first person. I vaguely remember trying that. I hated Evil Within in first person, if I recall. But I do like Resident Evil 7 in first person, and I like the horror aspect. So I'm glad you get a switch. Because RE3, I also love RE3 Remake. So, yeah, switching is going to be great. I'm going to try everything. And I love first person for exploring and looking for clues and secrets and Easter eggs. And third person, I think I'm probably better at fighting with. Resident Dr. Evil said that some of the, what are those, Elder Scrolls games let you switch, but it doesn't feel right. Oh, Fallout. Fallout was the game where I only played it in first person, but they let you play in third person, and it felt weird. I think that was the game I'm thinking of, actually. And then the GM said it's because in third person the game acted like you're in first. I think that's what happened in RE8. That's what I'm saying. I think they designed it for multiple cameras, and that's a good in advance, and that's a good thing. So as the demo continued, the players ran into the monster, and we saw it in the screenshots here, it climbing down from the ceiling, the hand across the light. They gave us a close-up shot where you see the mouth wide open, and then kind of the main shot of the whole game. This one, where it says Resident Evil 9 pops up after this. So you've got this monster, and what the players said was the demo is no weapons, and you're just hiding and trying to get past this monster. and it keeps breaking down walls, popping through the ceiling. Remember Jack Baker, Resident Evil 7? He would pop through the walls. Lady D or one of the girls would chase you and stuff, and it's a classic. Ever since Resident Evil 7, they've had these at least little segments of the game where people are having to run away from enemies and they're stalking you. Mr. X. But the game that everyone was saying, or not everyone, but Susie and Max were saying was Alien Isolation. Look, it's me from 7 to 9 years ago when we played other games. But I don't know if you played Alien Isolation, but basically you're hiding from the monster, but you can like distract it and stuff. And in Resident Evil 9 in the demo, like Grace could pick up a bottle and like throw it against the wall, and the monster would run and chase the bottle, and then you go past it. And like they're just saying the demo also had all this horror stuff with jump scares and things changing over time, and a lot of horror elements in the demo, especially with this monster. Now that's not. If the whole game of Resident Evil was running away from a monster, I would not even play it. I mean, I don't mind having little sections or this little demo, but hopefully this monster's not like chasing you the whole entire game. Because Resident Evil's also about taking your time and exploring different places too. So hopefully it's just like little mini games or whatever. I think there was, there in Village, wasn't there like a blob that was chasing you and you had to like solve the puzzles? But yeah, Alien Isolation. Everybody loved Alien Isolation. I've only played like 7 games on this channel, I think. I think we did Outlast. We did Slender Man. We just did a handful. And Alien Isolation, I think, was like the second or third one. And it was like everyone said you got to play it. So go back and play Alien Isolation. I liked it the first half, and then I got kind of sick of it towards the end. But Alien Isolation was actually a cool game. That somebody asked. Zuki said, "How long do you think RE9 will be?" I have no idea. I don't remember how long Village was or 7 in comparison to each other. I do know Resident Evil 6 was way too long. Oh my gosh. I was just looking at the cutscenes of that and like scrolling through to get like footage of Jake and stuff. There were like a billion cutscenes in that game. That game was too much. Okay, anyway, so who is this monster? It's just, is it a new enemy? I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, 5 fingers. We're good. Is it a new enemy? So you guys start to let me know in the comments, so in a minute when they pop up, I can start to read them. But let me know what you think about this monster. Is it a new monster, or is it... So basically there's 3 things. The new monster, that's the, betting the field or whatever. Is it Alyssa Ashcroft, but she like turned into a monster and she's just been a monster for 8 years? She wasn't really murdered. She's like monstery. If she was, a lot of people in the comments were like, "Oh, she's murdered, so that means they know she was dead and they have her body or whatever." Not true. In the United States, people have been convicted of murder and they've never found a body. So if people assume you're murdered, they still call it a murder, even if they don't find the body. So they didn't have to find the body. Also, if she was an experiment, they could have pulled her teeth out and like put it in the rubble of a fire to try, things that you've seen in movies where identities are stolen or whatever. So I don't think the fact that she was murdered means that she's actually dead. She could have been transformed into this monster. She could even still be alive and not a monster. I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, it's a classic movie thing. But the fun one, is it Lisa Trevor? Now, so Lisa Trevor shows up in Resident Evil 1, the remake. She is unkillable. She's immortal. She doesn't die. I don't think she can die. At the end of her part, she jumps off a cliff, and you just assume she's dead, and then later Resident Evil 1 ends and they blow everything up, so everyone thought she was dead. I thought she walked from Raccoon City to Louisiana in Resident Evil 7. That was one of my favorite theories for Resident Evil 7, that Lisa Trevor would show up. Then in Resident Evil 8, I made a video. I'm pretty sure either a video or a part of a video where I was like, maybe somehow Lisa Trevor got on a boat and went across into Europe and is going to show up in Village. And so obviously, a game in Raccoon City, she has to show up, right? Especially when you see this. Listen carefully to the noises. So I immediately thought it was Lisa Trevor because you hear a chain noise in the Resident Evil 9 trailer. So I was just like, chain, Lisa Trevor. Most of the people in this chat, a lot of the people in this chat, I've known for a very long time. And I know that we've all played Resident Evil 1 Remake. Is that the number one game we've played? I don't know. I played it a million, billion, quadrillion times. And when I hear a chain, I go, Lisa Trevor, where? In real life, if I'm like at the chain store and someone moves a chain, Lisa Trevor. Like chain, Lisa Trevor, Pavlov's dogs, whatever. I just think Lisa Trevor. So the chain was the thing. The character itself, Max described it as a 9 to 10 foot monster. Susie said 20-foot monster. That seems a little crazy, but it's huge. Lisa Trevor is not that huge, right? People who are like, it's not Lisa Trevor's not that huge, I would maybe go back and watch some Resident Evil games and see how these little tiny people become these giant creature bosses. Like Birkin the scientist, he wasn't 20 feet tall until he was 20 feet tall. So a character could get bigger. Maybe if they got nuked and they couldn't die, and they would like give them powers. So the size is not, they said it's whiny. Lisa Trevor is quite whiny. She's always whining. Mother, she's like a kid or something like that, and she misses her mommy. And then that scream in that black and white footage that I showed you, that was the demo people watching the demo, but they had audio behind it, and you heard that little scream. It sounded very familiar. So I'm not going to... I don't think it's Lisa Trevor, but I'm not going to throw it out completely because the chains. I don't care about the screaming or anything else. It's just the chains. So what could have happened to her? So let's say, she was bombed or whatever. She'd probably just living in the rubble of the mansion, like alive, and making her way to, this hotel or in the surrounding area. If anybody survived Raccoon City, it's Lisa Trevor. And later we'll talk about another guy who we haven't seen since Raccoon City, Billy. But Billy wasn't in the explosion or anything, but he could be around Raccoon City too. But Lisa Trevor's the other one who's like just a Raccoon City person. And again, it's a Resident Evil game, so like I said, I thought she could walk to Louisiana. But so what do you guys think? Lisa Trevor, I'm getting, let's see. I'd say 50-50 on the comments on if it's Lisa Trevor or not. But the 50% of people who don't think it's Lisa Trevor are like, you idiot. How could you ever think it's Lisa Trevor? So like they're like super anti-Lisa Trevor. 60 FPS says 30 years of mutation would make her that big. Oh yeah, how about Jack Baker? how about Grandma Baker? Who was a 100-year-old lady that was basically a skeleton, and then 5 seconds later, she was the biggest tree in the world. Jay, I can't see as far away. Jaylahan says the game seems to revolve around confronting the past, so it'd be perfect for her to come back. Yeah, a lot of the past, and then we'll go over those quotes again, but the quotes that I showed you in the beginning, that we're going to the past to learn the truth behind the outbreak, and they're going to put the story to rest, returning to the city of disaster. I mean, it's perfect for so many characters to return. And like in all the other games, when we did all the other theories, nobody ever returned except for Chris Redfield, and he wasn't the real Chris Redfield. GM says not Lisa. Do a poll. A poll. I can barely talk into this camera and play a video at the same time anymore. It took me 5 hours to set this up, by the way. I had to find all the wires. I had to find new computers. I had to download new software. I had to find the lights. Every time I would think, oh, I'm ready to go, I have to plug something in, and I missed like 10 things. But yeah, I'd love to figure out how to do a poll. Can Demon do a poll? Can the moderator do a poll? All right, let's talk about a couple more screens that we saw. Let's just go through a few of them. We got this police officer guy, and the thing on his head is like a rain cap. So they said during the demo it was raining outside. We see in the trailer there's a clip. It'll come up here in a second too, where that it's raining. So a lot of rain again in this Resident Evil, and this police officer looks like he's turning into a zombie. So again, we're talking about the past connections to Resident Evil. Zombies, let's bring them back. And this might be the case. Also in the demo, you pull like a door open in the beginning and a body falls out, and Max called it a zombie corpse. So I'm thinking there's zombies are back again. We've got this guy who I thought he was a priest, but I guess he's not a priest. He's just got a suit and tie on. He seems to be infected or bitten, or maybe the monster got him or something. I don't think it's a main character or anything, but he has some lines in the trailer, so he talks. And then every time I click on that thing, we've got the Hood Man. Oh, this actually isn't. Before I was like, oh, the hoodie guy's in the flashback. This might not be a flashback, although it might be. It's a little blurry. But he is putting a bag over this guy's head, which might be a good sign that he's more human than monster. And this is not the same guy. This guy has like more of a beard and stuff, although they both wear glasses. Yeah, we'll find out who this guy is. I don't know if the guy's. Yeah, where would these guys be? So if we're in Raccoon City, these guys wouldn't be there, right? I swear there's going to be a town called Renwood or something, or a city called Renwood, and like that's where these other characters are going to come from. Because where else would they be there? Or unless they're bad guys and they're involved and they're Umbrella executives or something. Steve says, might be Grace's FBI partner. I guess she could have a partner. I don't know. The guy seemed like angry. Big Brick said that the monster was probably Alyssa, but given Lisa Trevor type look. I don't know. That could maybe give somebody else a Lisa Trevor, like Alyssa, Lisa Trevor, whatever. However they made her, maybe they made Alyssa that. I don't know. Back in the day, Resident Evil 7 used to zoom in on these and try to figure, what does it mean? But at this point, these missing posters and the stuff on the agent's desk and the maps and everything, it's all usually just like random stuff. I don't know what the name is for it, like random assets. So I don't think these mean anything. It's just giving you context, once again, that so many people are missing from the city. Again, it's not Raccoon City, though. So I think it's got to be the other city, Renwood. And here we got another shot here of this other city. And yeah, I'm thinking that there's another city called Renwood, and maybe it's down the street from Raccoon City, or maybe a totally different area. But this is showing me that rainy day. the hospital or the demo, it was raining. So wherever this is, that is. But these people aren't zombies or dead or ruins. So, yeah, that's one I just figured out in my head right now. That there's no way that it's Raccoon City. That's got to be a different town. And then, yeah, this, I don't know if this is from that hospital hotel or not, but that was another screenshot there. And then, yeah, the rain. I was thinking, like, it kind of has vibes like that van in the back corner, like the Kendo gun van from RE3. The barbershop, there's a barbershop in RE3. And again, I guess we could have flashbacks or connections to Outbreak or something that these could be too. But I tried to connect it more to Resident Evil 3. It has a Resident Evil 3 vibe. Very skinny, narrow area. But again, I think it's got to be a different place. Renwood is the name of a hotel, but like I just went to Petersburg, Virginia last weekend, and I stayed at the Petersburg Hotel. So a lot of times a town will have a boutique hotel that is named the same as the town or city. And that's why I would think it could possibly be a Renwood Hospital, like the Raccoon City Hospital, the Raccoon City Library, the Raccoon City Police Department. Like everything was named the city. Speaking of Raccoon City, it's a crater now. But look at all these buildings that are there. Like, it blew up over there, but there's so much left. And so I'm so excited if they let us actually explore this as a large area. I want to see Kendo's gun shop. I want to see all the greatest hits of Raccoon City, at least the ruins. Like, we don't have to go in them or anything, but see like the ruins of everything. The RPD is even still standing, as we see later in the trailer. So not everything blew up, at least in this version. And I'm excited to be able to walk around and see it. Someone was saying, like, yeah, it's not all destroyed, but I still don't think those other scenes are from this area. Like, this place has had to have cleared out because of, like, radiation and stuff. So I don't think people are walking on the streets or anything. There could be, like, bandits or something like that, you know, like in a regular movie. But I don't think that those other scenes were talking about this exact place. School bus. There's the RPD. And someone was saying, like, this Jeep, did Leon have a Jeep in RE2 or something? I don't really think that's an Easter egg for that, but hey, maybe it could be. Dante says it was a thermobaric bomb, not a nuclear bomb. I don't know what that means, but I do know that I knew that it wasn't a nuke that would, like, kill a million miles away, but I've assumed any kind of bomb would kill within a little bit there. Wasn't there a scene where the Umbrella was, like, doing tests on Raccoon City after the explosion, and they were like, it's still uninhabitable or something? Was that an Outbreak that I just played? And then, yeah, hey, we're here. It's our home. And yeah, the RPD looks like it's back in the game, although it's blown up. If you look right there, this is the RPD from Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 remake. It's got the fuse box right there. So it's I'm sure they've obviously changed it to make it run down, but it's not based on, like, the original Resident Evil, whatever. This is like and if you, like, right there, see that flag in Resident Evil 2 remake and 3 remake? It's that exact flag right there is up there on that flagpole. That's a different flag over there, but the one that's down there was up there. So this is like Resident Evil 2 or 3. It's it's that version of the RPD. So it'll be interesting, because that would make it a third game with the same place that's different. But the layout should be the same. And there's just a close-up. And again, let's kind of end with the quotes from Capcom, direct quotes. Return once again to the city of disaster and despair. This one case leads to uncovering the hidden truth behind the outbreak in Raccoon City. What's the hidden truth? Don't we know the truth? Don't we know the truth? So what's the hidden truth? They're going to change the truth, or are we going to learn more about Spencer and Marcus and Wesker or whatever? I'm getting them all confused again. And then, will this be the Requiem that finally lays the memories of that abhorrent disaster to rest? This one is the one that makes me think this is the last Resident Evil game. There's no Resident Evil 10 direct continuation. After Resident Evil 9 is going to be wrapped up. And if Resident Evil 9 wraps everything up from Raccoon City, I swear we would see a lot of characters returning. I swear. If that's true, if they're really going to end it. Somebody tweeted something today about it, and I was like, I think they're going to do Resident Evil 9. They're going to end the story. Then the next game's not going to be Resident Evil 10. It's going to be Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil. And they're going to reboot it or whatever. I don't know if it's reboot or some way start it over. And then I think maybe they do 10 later and continue Leon's stories and stuff like that. But I think they're going to try to redo it, but I don't know. But that comes to my favorite part of the discussion, and that's who could possibly come back. Outbreak characters. We've got what were there? 8 playable characters in Outbreak. We've got Alyssa already. She's involved in the story. She was close with Yoko, I think, in one of the stories. So could Yoko be showing up? You got Ryman up there. And then here's what people have been doing in the trailer, which I didn't do. I was supposed to do it. I ran out of time. I'm so mad I forgot to make the video with this. But there's voices at the end that aren't attributed to a character. One of them sounds like Carlos. One of them people said sounds like Leon. It doesn't. I compared them right next to each other. It does not sound like Leon. And then there's maybe a third voice that's a woman, and people thought that might be Jill. Other people think it's Outbreak characters, like Kevin Ryman at the top there. The Mark guy at the bottom, these are all Raccoon City people. So Steve thinks the 250 mark is Carlos. It definitely sounds like Carlos to me the most. I was looking at, somebody did a video, I wish I could tell you who it was. I watched a million videos where they were talking about who the voices could be. And they said the one could be Carlos or some other character that Carlos did the voice of too. It sounds like Carlos a lot. And then the other one did not sound like Leon, I swear. And then I think most of the female are Alyssa, even though one sounds different because she's crying, but I think that's her. Oh, and there was a young girl's voice too, I think. So not sure about that. But of all these characters, I don't know. None of these characters, I didn't like any of these characters. None of them related to, none of them had a big impact on me. I remember their looks. I don't remember anything about their stories. I know a lot about Alyssa because she's been connected to different games. So I've been playing her missions, basically only been playing her missions since Resident Evil 7. And then I think we did something where maybe Kevin Ryman was possibly connected to one of the old games. So maybe I knew a little bit about him. But yeah, none of these characters connected to me at all. And then when I was a kid, I bought Outbreak 1. I had some kind of adapter and some kind of a 100-foot Ethernet wire, or it might have been a phone line. I don't even know was there Ethernet? It was probably Ethernet. And I had it running through the whole house just to play Outbreak online. And it sucked. I mean, so much loading and just it's so clanky and the controls sucked. And when Outbreak 2 came out, I think that was probably the first time I didn't buy a Resident Evil game. Because I don't think I ever bought Outbreak 2. But Outbreak 2 is better than Outbreak 1 if at least the graphics look better. And I don't know. It was right now, I'd prefer to play that. Maybe because I played Outbreak 1 so much, but I just remember playing Outbreak 1 over and over and over and over again online and hating it so much, but keep playing it. And now I play it. They have the lone wolf mode, which I like better, where you can play it and not have any partners or whatever. But then it takes longer because you have to go do other people's missions for them. That's why the last level took forever. Anyway, so Outbreak characters. I love old connections, so I'd love to see them, but none of these characters meant that much to me. All right, here we go. Leon, he's the number one. There's the rumor guy. The rumor guy says Leon's coming. He also said that the game was going to take place on an island. It's a toss-up with some of these things. Like I said, the voice actor thing people were saying, I don't believe it. It's not the same voice. Leon has a high voice, and this voice in the trailer is more deep. And yeah, even the remake Leon, he had a high voice. I get it's years later or whatever, but I don't buy that the voice is Leon. The other clue people were saying was the actual voice actor of Leon has something on his IMDb game that he's in a future game to be announced, but he can't tell people what it is. And everyone's like, well, it's got to be Resident Evil, and he's got to be Leon. Some people think that Grace isn't even the real main character. It's a Leon game, and Grace is just doing like the little part in the beginning, and it's going to become a Leon game, and it's a whole thing. And I guess what happened was there was a movie. Seek probably knows this. I think he likes the superhero movies. There was a movie called something. I don't remember what it's called. And then the movie came out, and then they're like, ha ha ha, we tricked you. It's the Avengers. They could be doing like a whole trick. Obviously, Grace will be a character in the thing. In the game, but what if they like flip it and then all of a sudden it's a Leon game? I think it's going to be a mainly Grace game. I still think it's going to be mainly Grace, and I think these rumors might be some people throwing things out there that are incorrect on purpose. Seek said Thunderbolts. Yeah, I didn't follow it completely, but there was a movie called Thunderbolts, and when I think the trailer premiered during the Super Bowl or something. And I just remember tweeting, like, looks like the worst movie ever. And then I just remember that tweet. And then I remember the name of the movie. So then when it came out or whatever, people were posting something where it was like the Avengers. And I was like, oh, that's that movie I said that looked terrible. But they could do that with this. Obviously, they wouldn't change the... Like, it's not like you get to the launch of the game and they're like, by the way, it's actually Devil May Cry. But maybe they're like throwing this Grace part, and that could even be like the demo they created to create Resident Evil 8. I'm going way too crazy on that. That's too far. That it's only a demo and then the real game is different from that. Everything we've seen so far, they would never do that. Anyway, so Leon, he's leading in the clubhouse in rumors to come back. Jill. Everyone loves Jill. I don't see any clues to Jill. People think Jill will come back. I'm down for that. She knows the RPD. Leon knows the RPD. The real Chris Redfield, he could come back because he was just in Resident Evil 8 and 7. Even looking at him right there, I forgot that was him. Yeah, because he was in Resident Evil 8. Like, is he still there? I think the entire Mansion crew is going to come back together. Leon, Jill, Chris, Barry. I think they're all going to come together at the end. I just don't think that they're going to be playable characters. I think they might be in the game. Now, one of them might be a playable character, but I don't think they all would. But I think they'll all just come together at the end or pop in or something. Ethan, he's in 7 and 8. I'm guessing he's done. I mean, do people like Ethan? I don't think so. And then Billy's the most intriguing to me because he fell out of that train in Raccoon City. But what would he have been doing? Just living in the... he can't go back to real life because, like, they'll catch him. Remember, like, in real life, the prisoners all escaped from somewhere, like 15 of them, and they caught, like, 12 of them last I checked. Like, they're going to catch you. So maybe he's living in the woods outside of... I don't know how he'd eat, but he could be around there. Because he disappears. And then the number one character that they'll never do because they hate everything is Barry. We need Barry back. But here's the problem with Barry. Or with Capcom, actually. Resident Evil 3. One of my favorite games ever for PlayStation or whatever it came out on. The end of the game, there's a voice on the intercom. And as a kid, I'm like... It's Barry! it's Barry. Yeah, maybe it's not Barry. Then we get in a helicopter, and Barry's flying the helicopter, and Barry is in Resident Evil 3, and it's the greatest day of my life since Resident Evil 1. And then Resident Evil 3 Remake comes out, and Barry doesn't even show up. And what? Why would they do that? That's so annoying. Demon says he was in Revelations too. I guess Revelations counts. Doesn't Jill look weird in that? I guess was Revelations out before Outbreak? Because Revelations I did not play ever until I had this channel. No, those are too long ago. I'm talking about Resident Evil Engine needs Barry. And then the other question, which I didn't really, it's my least favorite part about Resident Evil are like, who are the bad guys? Like Umbrella. Okay, that I don't mind hearing the word Umbrella, and they're the bad guy. I don't care about the history of Umbrella and all this stuff, or the Neo Umbrella, or the family, or the connections, or I don't even know what is what and who is who in these games, but who is behind everything that's happening. And again, the way that they're trying to connect it back, we're going to discover the true story of Umbrella. I think it's got to be Umbrella. I don't think it can be somebody related to Umbrella. I don't think it can be any of these other weird things that were in different games. I think it's just somehow straight up Umbrella. And, yeah, maybe just random scientists, maybe someone related to Spencer, maybe a Wesker, maybe Alex Wesker. I don't know who the bad guys are. It's not just that snaky guy. Some corporation is going to be involved. It's got to be Umbrella, and maybe the ending. I don't even know what happened to Umbrella. I guess Umbrella doesn't exist anymore, but I think it secretly exists. So that is your 108 slide theory chat that took me 6 hours to make that slideshow, and I think I forgot to say half the things I was going to say. We had an echo in the beginning. I messed that one up. I didn't have any of my buttons. It was Yankee. It was janky. It was skanky. We got the new RPD set up, but we didn't get it fully set up. There's no moving elements or anything cool. It's just the RPD and my big TV. But we'll add to this, hopefully, and make it a little bit more dynamic like the old set. But I just felt like you can't just bring back the Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 RPD when in Resident Evil 9 the RPD looks like this. So it was good to see